What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I'm here to bring you my review of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a game I genuinely believe is one of my favorite games of 2024. Now, it's not without problems, and some of them are just kind of gameplay, things I kind of picked out as I was going through. Some of them are actually almost severe technical issues that I do want to talk about as this video goes. I'm very much praying and hoping that they have a day one patch and that a lot of those things are just immediately resolved, and then there really are far less issues, I would say, with this game overall. But I do want to thank Bethesda and Xbox for the review code. It was quite a surprise, and I'm very grateful for it. But you know me, I'm going to tell you guys my opinion, and it just so happens to be that firing this game up, it immediately grabbed me. Now, before I get too far, one of the things I like to do with reviews is just tell you guys how long it took me to play the game. So I actually clocked in at about 15 and a half hours. Now, we're going to discuss, as the video goes, what actually is inside this game. There's a lot, and for me, I did get lost a couple times. I got stuck a couple times at puzzles. Maybe you guys are smarter than me. I wouldn't doubt it because I'm pretty bad with puzzles. So maybe it takes a little bit shorter time for you off of that 15 and a half. However, because there's so many collectibles, I did do a good amount of this game. I did, obviously, the whole story. I did, I believe, all side quests, all major side quests. Then there's the collectibles and like the fighting rings and things like that. I imagine this game can get anywhere between, again, like if you're rushing, maybe 13 to 14 hours, and then if you're doing everything, this is probably a 20-plus hour game if you're going to find every single collectible in the entire thing. This is a game I've been looking forward to and was excited about, and the major snag for me was always that first versus third person thing. Well, honestly, I'm here to tell you, and maybe we can just get that out of the way, it didn't bother me one bit. I think as soon as I started to play it and started to figure out what type of game that this actually is, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if they've done a great job of showing that off in gameplay or previews or anything. The game is different. Like, this is a game that really is its own thing. It feels at times a little bit like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, but it really is Indiana Jones. This is now an Indiana Jones game, and you have Tomb Raider and Uncharted that both focus on slightly different things. And I think the first person thing really works well, in this game. I think it kind of encapsulates that, okay, this is supposed to be a slightly different thing. All right, so what is this game? Well, I was actually quite surprised to see. I actually think it's a pretty good mix of a game like Hitman or Dishonored, and that's for a vast majority of this game. So what does that mean? Well, multiple of these levels, right? You're basically in these different locations, which very beautiful, looks very, very good the entire time. You're going around to these different areas, and they're semi-open world. They are big, they are populated, and they're alive. And you can go into towns, you can go on kind of the outskirts. There's sometimes military bases of like enemies and whatnot, and you go around, you do side quests, you do your main quests, you find collectibles, and you just kind of have fun. It's a game that really pushes that exploration. When IGN said it's an adventure action game, not an action adventure, I get it. I get it now, because action does come second a good amount of time. There are times where action is, you can't get away from it, and I actually think the fighting in this game is quite fun. We'll talk about that too. But in terms of just exploring and walking around, you got disguises, so that's a little Hitman-esque, but some enemies, like if you have a military disguise, the captain can see through it. So, they'll have the bar and it'll load up, and what I actually really like about this game is choices. So you don't have to do anything in this game one specific way. I guess there's some like the main quest, and you're in like a tomb, and you're going around and you're trying to find an artifact when you're like parkouring and stuff. Yeah, there's like one designated path. But when you're in the open world and you're tasked with just find this thing and come back, you can handle it any way you want. You could take out everybody in a base. You can sneak by. And I did it both ways. I took out everyone. You can fight multiple people at the same time. It is possible. I don't really recommend it, but you can do it. There's guns. You can use those if you want. You can use hand-to-hand combat. You can use weapons, or you can sneak around. You can distract things. You could use your outfit that sometimes you actually have to find in the open world kind of naturally. So you go around, you find it, and that kind of unlocks the ability to walk into new areas. Now, again, you're only going to be able to get so far. You can't steal things in front of enemies, right? Otherwise, they're going to see you and immediately attack you. So, but the point is, there's different ways of handling different situations, and I really like that about this game. So and I got to say this, it's a fair amount of this game. If you're wondering what is this game, it's broken up into basically chapters or locations, and most of them are these semi-open world 3 to 5 hour playgrounds. That's what this game, and I was shocked. I was like, oh my dear God, I'm in this area for a long time, but I'm enjoying it. It's not a drag or anything. And it's like, okay, the side quests are very deep. This is something I really want to emphasize. Not only do I think the main missions in this game are very good, I think it tells a really good story. More than anything, the main stuff feels like Indiana Jones. It's kind of by the books. There's relics, there's artifacts. You're trying to beat the villain to the artifacts, which will unlock something. There's twists and turns, and what do these artifacts actually do? How is it connected to the Great Circle? All that jazz. I'm not gonna obviously spoil any of the major story moments, but there's some emotional stuff. There's the characters of Indy and mainly Gina. Those are the two characters that are in it primarily. I think they're fantastic. The main villain is Emmerich Voss. I think he's actually very, very fun. He feels like a classic Indiana Jones villain. So if nothing else, I really think they told, maybe a somewhat safe by-the-book story of Indiana Jones, but it feels like it's in line. It's a race to an artifact, multiple artifacts, versus a villain, and you travel the world. It has the humor. It has the, you're hunting for artifacts. It's got some background stuff. It does have some emotion. I think they did an incredibly good job. And, again, without spoiling it, the end kind of situation that happens, really like it. I really, and I didn't really see it coming. It kind of comes out of left field, I feel, but it's really, really good. So I think the main story is great. But again, I really want to shout out the side stuff. I was shocked. I gotta be honest. I was shocked. So every area, except for a couple, I'll kind of get there in a second. Every open area will have your main quest, and it's a quest line, right? You go back to it. You do it like 3, 4, 5 times, and then you'll move on to the next area. At the end of the game, you can return and do the collectibles, kind of finish up anything you missed. But when you leave an area, you leave it for good. There's no backtracking until you beat the game, okay? So every area's got the main mission. Then they got side missions, and there's maybe like 3 to 5 side missions per area. And these are long. These are not 5 minutes fetch quests. These are 20, 25 minutes, fully cutscene. And that's one of the main things that shocked me. These are deep. There's one, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but there's one towards the end of the game that's like 25, 30 minutes, and it's like a backstory. It like goes through some serious stuff. It's cutscene. It changes environments on you. It's actually more deep than some of the main missions, which the main missions are very clearly kind of on like another level. And a lot of the side missions actually will lead you into tombs. I would say maybe 70, 80% of them, the end goal of them is to find, some sort of unexplored area, go through a bunch of puzzles. And again, that's where the Indiana Jones feel really shines. And again, that's something I really think they captured about this game is you feel like him. I'll talk about Troy Baker in a second, but just in terms of like the wittiness and his knowledge, like he does a lot of this himself. If you're worried about that, by the way, Indy carries this game. He does get help. He has to get help from friends sometimes, but he's very knowledgeable. He's very smart. He explains a lot of things to other characters. He's like the go-to guy. And so when you're going around, and even just in a side quest, just a meaningless side quest, you go around and you feel like him when you're solving puzzles in tombs. And may I say, I think the puzzles are really good too. Obviously there's difficulty levels for that. If you get stuck, you just pull out the camera and you just constantly take pictures. It basically will walk you through the puzzle. If you're an idiot like me, and I can be pretty stupid with puzzles sometimes, if you just take pictures where you're supposed to take pictures, it tells you like how to do the puzzle, which I really like. It's dummy proof. If you want to do it without help, you have that option. If you have no idea what you're doing, keep taking pictures. It'll walk you through exactly what to do, right? And I do think the puzzles are very good, but the side quests are awesome. And then, beyond the side quests, there's a ton of collectibles. There's kind of almost like jobs, like there's that fighting ring, and that's kind of in every semi-open world area as well. So that's like a reoccurring thing you can do for money and experience points and stuff. And then there's collectibles. There's finding relics in each area. There's finding like radio frequencies in each area. So there's so much to find, and you get rewarded. So that's another part of this game I want to kind of highlight as well. I love the reward system. So you basically got money and you got experience points, and you'll pick up books, and these books are your abilities, right? So when you pick up a book, you have it, but it's not like equipped yet. You have to buy it, and you have to buy it with experience points, and you get that by taking pictures. Taking pictures in this game rewards you with points. Completing side objectives rewards you. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is a constant feeling of like gratification. I think it's something like Uncharted's multiplayer did really well, where basically anything you did, you got a medal, right? And I think I feel like that's like to an ADHD mind, but I think I like it personally because it's a constant reward. So in this game, it's like, yeah, you're getting experience points for basically doing anything, and then you're always unlocking things. So you're getting extra health, you're getting extra damage with weapons, you're getting more like hit spots. So like weapons will break, right? So you pick up a weapon, it's got 2 spots on it, 2 hits, and if you do a stealth takedown, you break it immediately, right? But okay, by the end of the game, I was running around with hammers that had like 8, so I could do like 3 stealth takedowns, and then it would break versus the beginning of the game doing it once. So I like the system, how the game works. Oh, and before I forget, I mentioned, okay, well, a lot of these areas are semi-open world. They are. There's actually 2 in the middle that I won't talk about too much. I won't even show too much because they're kind of short, but they're actually freaking awesome. They actually do go more of like the Uncharted, like high action, on rails type, like things are happening. You're doing stuff as things are happening. Highly recommend those middle sections. No, it's really good. Like that's, the game is more adventure than action, but there's a good chunk in the middle, at least in the middle. And then, there's other stuff here and there I won't mention, but in the middle, there are some really cool missions that do some really over the top things that are really fun to watch. And these, cutscenes are involved there as well, but you also play. And so it's like, it's really cool. They put you in some really interesting situations. I do want to shout out Troy Baker, phenomenal. My wife doesn't really care about a lot of this stuff, which is fine. I think that actually works out. And I was playing this game, okay? And I was playing it like day 2, the second day I was playing it. And she tells me from afar, she said, "Is that Harrison Ford?" And she legitimately thought they brought back Harrison Ford to do the role. I think Troy Baker did so good. Now, Indy, he goes through stuff. And again, I'm not going to go over like character arcs and stuff. I actually think Gina goes through the most. I think there's other characters that have some interesting twists I won't talk about either. Indy is just Indy. And I think that's okay because I also think, a big part of this game was just trying to do Indiana Jones, right? Like literally just trying to get Harrison Ford, like that kind of mannerism and how he speaks, the cadence and all that stuff. I think they were so focused on that they couldn't really dynamically, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And honestly, I never looked at that in this game as an issue. Okay, throughout the entire game, I was thinking, this is great. He does a fantastic Harrison Ford impression. And there is comedy. There's comedy, there's wittiness, there's explaining things, right? Like, what does this relic do? Or what's the history of this thing or that thing? He covers all of that so well. He doesn't have like these massive character arc moments. I like those moments. Those can be character enhancing. And again, I feel like that's kind of the trade-off where it's like maybe they were so focused just to get everything down. They didn't want to push it. Let's not go like extreme Indiana Jones. Let's just go Indiana Jones. But I got to say this. I really think he should get nominated. Like, this is the terrible part, I think, of cutting off the Game Awards when they do it. You can't nominate Indiana Jones for anything. I think this is one of the better games of the year. I think it's a well-rounded, obviously we've talked about that a lot already. This game should be nominated. And Troy Baker, I think, honestly, should be nominated as Indy. Okay, combat, I want to quickly nail on that. Love it. This is one of the most surprising things I think about the game. So, look, again, like, combat's not encouraged. Like, you can do it, but I will say this. You can take out entire compounds, right? Like, attacking enemies. It would take, I would say, some talent or some skill. I did do it a few times, but it's something that it's kind of a mix. Like, you do generally want to do stealth. You do generally want to avoid enemies. You do generally want to do stealth takedowns or walk right by them with outfits and whatnot. Combat is a last resort, but when you do combat, it's so much fun. The game has like this brawler type feel where, like, when you hit, the sounds in this game are awesome, right? Like the whip crack and just punching an enemy every time you feel like you're breaking somebody's nose or you're getting your own nose broken. But this is where I actually think first person really shines because it feels chaotic. It feels like if you have 3 enemies around you, you're punching one of them, then you're turning around really quickly to block another one. one. And again, like, there's a cool catch where, like, there's a parrying system. If you tap it just at the right time, he'll block the enemy and push them backwards, and you can nail some hits. If you get good at that, you can take out, I would say, 3, 4, 5 enemies at a time, and I was doing that. And again, like, weapons, like hitting somebody in the head with a hammer in physical combat, or like hand-to-hand, like, you know, you're facing them, they're facing you, highly rewarding. It just feels good. It feels good. It looks good. And it captures that Indiana Jones feel. This is not Nathan Drake. This is not Lara Croft. This is Indiana Jones. And again, that's what this game is trying to be, right? You are a puzzle solver. You're finding these relics. You're fighting, but kind of as a last resort. You're kind of being witty about the fighting, and you can only handle so much at a time, right? And I think they captured that really, really well. And I guess to throw in, now, like, one issue, but it was only an issue at times, the one time first person does become an issue for me is kind of parkouring. And it could be like they wanted it to be this way. I did find, you know, when you're trying to jump from like one area to the next, it's hard sometimes to like judge your gap or your distance. And there were a few times where, like, you know, they have like the white paint where it's like, okay, you're supposed to go there. And again, like, more linear style missions. Some missions you kind of handle it whatever way you want. If you want to climb, you can climb to get around something. If you don't want to climb, you don't have to. But some missions, you know, you're gonna have to. So in those, at times, I felt like, oh, I'm supposed to make that jump. Or things like, sometimes I missed, like, because there's like a icon that says, okay, like RB, right? For me on Xbox, RB, you crack the whip and you can swing across. And there'd be times I'm looking around the environment, I'm like, where in God's name am I supposed to go? There were times I got lost where it's like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go in this like little tomb or dungeon type area. And the answer is, well, look up, but you have to look like right at the right angle, otherwise the icon won't appear. So things like that did get annoying at times, but it didn't take away from it. I still think, you know, it captures the like finding relic part of Indiana Jones extremely well. They're just minor annoyances, I guess, as you get there. But there's some really clever, I think, tombs in general. There's some really cool traps that happen and things like that. So those are all kind of pros there, and there's a few cons there. Now, I do want to say, I know I kind of saved it for the end, the game does have some massive, I would say, audio issues in particular. Now, I played on Series X. I hear that it downloads the high res, you know, texture pack automatically. It doesn't do that on all platforms, but it does it on Series X. The game looks so good. The character models, fantastic. The environment, fantastic. There are times, though, where there's a lot of pop-ins. You could be 10, 15, 20 feet, and the trees will, like, pop in on you. And so, you know, not a huge fan of that. And the audio issues are a huge problem. So I don't know what was going on, because I actually thought it was my own setup at first. But then I realized, well, no, because there's a lot of time, 85% of the time in this game, the audio's fine. Music's working good, characters working good. But I found several long instances, and by the way, and if they're listening to this, the last hour of this game, the ending of this game, had audio issues the entire time. It was highly annoying. I really was disappointed in that, because it was cracking. Like, literally, there would be, like, imagine, I don't even know how you describe it. Well, at least I can't show it too, right? It's the ending of the game. Like, the audio cuts over and over. So you hear a word, then you don't hear another word, then you hear the third word, so on. So the music in the background, cut. The action in the background, cut. I had no idea what was going on. And it wasn't just the ending. This happened to me, I think, 4 times throughout the whole game. The ending, though, was 1 hour of just audio problems, and it didn't fix itself. So that's a huge problem. Honestly, that can take away your enjoyment of the ending of the freaking game. So that needs to be addressed. If it's not addressed, that significantly, I think, hurts the ending, even though I really like it. I really love the ending. A lot of emotion, a lot of clever stuff, all that jazz. Won't get into it too much, but I really like it. But it's like, it was hard to concentrate sometimes, because I had to read the subtitles, and, you know, the action in the background was it was annoying. It was very annoying, because it kept cutting in and out. So that was a really, really big problem to me, and honestly, the biggest problem of the entire game. So again, as a whole, I guess to recap here, I do love it. I would say I absolutely do love this game. Those audio issues are a gigantic problem. If those weren't there at all, I mean, here's the thing. I really can, in my own opinion, separate them. I can acknowledge that they're definitely there and they're definitely a problem, but I do think this game is extremely good. I think this is one of my favorite games of the year, probably top 5. It tells a great story. It's got great characters, got great action, both set pieces and fighting. got great stealth. It's very diverse. It's a game that you're going to be doing a lot of different stuff, but also at the core of it, it captures Indiana Jones, which I do think is kind of the point when you call your game Indiana Jones. So I'm really impressed. Honestly, I wanted the game to be good. I didn't think the game could be this good. And so I think that's all I got to say. If you guys have any questions, again, I can only answer so much, but leave it in the comments if you're wondering. I try to do this in at least my early reviews, like if I'm given the opportunity to do something like this. If I miss something, you guys have any question about something that's not spoiler-like, definitely let me know in the comments and I'll answer them best I can. Let me know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.